Good evening, students. So our next topic is about basics of hardware and software. So before that, we discussed different types of computer, classification of computers, different components of computer, okay, and generations of computer. So now we discuss hardware and software. So a computer system consists of two main components. One is hardware and other is software. Or we can say hardware as a physical parts of computer that we can touch, we can sense, okay, is called hardware. So hardware components are used to perform any task, okay, given by any software or program. So hardwares can be a monitor, input devices, keyboard, mouse, okay, CPU, motherboard, CPU fan, memory, VGA card, sound card, hard disk, okay, reader, all in one internal. Okay, these are the storage devices, power supply, CD, DVD, ROMs. So all these parts are known as hard. Okay, so you can see in picture. Now what is software? So software is a collection of programs or data and instructions which gives intelligence to computer. Okay, without software, without programs, you cannot calculate, compute anything. Okay, so using softwares you can make computer intelligence. So software is generic term. So it is basically organized collection of computer data and instructions. Okay, so your program or software is collection of data and instructions. So you write instructions, and after when you run your program, you have to give your data to process it. So software, it can be of two types. One is system software, or the task which are performed by computer for its functionality to communicate between hardware devices, or to make computer hardware run. Okay, and the second one is application software, so which is used by users to perform a specific task as per users require. Okay, so few softwares are to run your system hardware and its components, and one of type of software where user can do any specific task as per his require. Okay, so these are the two types of software. So first we can see how we can differentiate between system software and application software, so which helps in running your hardware, or a medium between user and user application and hardware is your system software. For example, your operating system, okay, Linux or Mac OS or Windows, these are system softwares, along with any developing softwares. Okay, suppose you are writing a program in Java language, then it is Java is your system software. Any compiler which converts your code from one language to other, okay, higher language to lower language, so all these are system softwares or McAfee secure. Okay, this is antivirus which protect from any suspicious software. Okay, and the user application. So application softwares are those are used by users or customers. Okay, so for example, PowerPoint, Word, okay, Chrome browsers. Okay, these are the Notepad, any game, and any web application. Yeah, these are the application software where user do its task, and all these other parts are system software. Android is also a system software. Okay. So layer below user applications all are considered as system software. Okay, next topic is central processing unit. So this is the main brain of your computer. So you can see the picture of Core i7 Intel processor. Okay, and one is Intel Pentium processor. So these are the CPU which process your data or any input given by any program or software, which is processed and computed by your central processing unit. Okay, so how CPU looks, it have two main components. One is ALU and second is your control unit, and this both the components communicate with each other or passes some data to each other, and when you give some input, CPU compute it and give it to output unit. So input comes from input devices, and after computation or after calculating or taking decisions, it is given to output unit. Okay, and CPU also interact with your main memory, or we can say RAM. Okay, तो CPU मेन मेमोरी से कम्युनिकेट करता है. So whatever program is stored in your main memory, it will be passed to CPU to process. So main memory contains software or our instructions of program, so which goes one by one to your CPU, or where you can say it goes to your ALU unit and it process it and give it as a. Okay. So CPU basically contains two main components. One is arithmetic logic unit and control unit. So processing part is done by your processors. Means any calculation, any comparison, any decision making is done by processor. So processing device are central processing unit, also called as microprocessor. So one of the name is also microprocessor. So CPU can be called as microprocessor or a small chip, silicon chip. Okay. So what it do, it takes input, process it and gives you output to output device. So silicon chip or microprocessor, because it is small in size and have a lot of transistors made up of silicon, so that's why it is called as a microprocessor, small in size. So composed of silicon and contains millions of transistors. Okay, so a small CPU consists of millions of transistors to process your data. Okay, so examples of CPUs are Core 2 Duo, Core i3, Core i7, Core i5. These are the examples of microprocessor or CPU. So it consists of three components: ALU, CU, and memory unit. So memory unit, you can put it out of CPU also. Okay, so main components are the ALU and CU. So how it looks like ALU? So whatever instruction you are giving through some program to your ALU, it compute it and give you result. Okay, so for example, you are calculating addition of two numbers. So the formula for adding two number is a plus b. So a is your one operand, integer operand, b is your second integer operand. So some opcode is instruction code where it gives what to do. Okay, so a plus b should be done. So a plus b gives you y, so integer result. So that way your ALU unit calculate your computation as addition. If you want to do division, then you have to give opcode as division instruction, then a will be divided by b and you get the result y. So this way you can perform all arithmetic operations. Okay, if you are comparing two integers, a is greater than b or less than b, then you supply the opcode as per greater than less than, and it will compare and give you result y. Okay, so what operation should be done? It will be decided by opcode, operation code. It is for short form of operation code. So what operation you want to do on a and b? Plus, minus, division, comparisons. Okay, so it will be done and given as a output. So this arithmetic and decision making uh, calculations or comparisons can be done by your ALU unit. Okay, so ALU will do this part. Then control unit. So control unit looks was like the boss and coordinates all the processor activities. So before CPU do any activity or any action, so it will be first controlled by your control unit. Control unit will decide the processor will act or not. Okay, so when the computer CPU will process your data, when it will not process, it will be decided by your control unit. So using programming instruction, it controls the flow of information through the processor by controlling what happen inside the processor. Okay, so all the operations inside CPU will be controlled or signaled by your control. Okay, so like in our railway system, so trains run according to signals. uh, if signals are green, then train goes. If red, then it stops. Okay, so all is done through some control unit at your station. Okay, same way the processor activities will be controlled by your control unit. When to process and when to not process, what to process. Okay, so it manages all different components of your computer, reads instruction from memory, interpret it. Oh, okay, after reading instruction, what to do? So the action will be taken by your control unit, then it pass to some component, you do this. Okay, that way, and changes in series of signals to activate other parts of it. Okay, so it passes signals to other parts of your computer like input output devices, memory. So all is done by control. Okay, so all flow of information is controlled by your control unit of your computer. So it controls and coordinates the input output memory and all other units. So that way all the flow of your data instruction can be managed. Okay, so this is memory unit. So it is not the part of CPU, but it communicate with your CPU or processor, and whatever instructions or data is given by program, it will be stored in your memory. Okay, so there are two types of memory. One is primary, that is secondary. So when your program comes from secondary storage to primary or RAM, and where the data and instructions will be stored and then passed to processing. So it may be processed or unprocessed. It comes back to memory. Okay, after processing, data is stored in memory. When it is unprocessed, it is stored in your memory. Okay, so in left side of your photograph you can see RAM or the primary memory of your computer, and in right side you can see all the secondary storage devices. Okay, floppy drive, memory card of your laptop, or floppy drive again, CD drive, pen drives, SSD drives, hard drives. So all these are the secondary storage where you can store data permanently. But at the time of processing, you have to pass your program to primary memory, that is RAM. Okay. So this is the place where you can store your data and instruction. Now, how you pass all this your data and instructions from one component to other, or one memory to other memory, or from memory to processor, or through one input device to output device after processing. So all this flow of your data or instructions require some buses or some wires, we can say. So wires or buses are required to transfer your data from one part to other part for some purpose. So computer architecture bus is a communication system that transfer data between components inside a computer or between so either you are passing your data in your computer from input output device to memory, from memory to CPU, or from CPU to memory, or from CPU to output. What you require some transmission lines or a bus where you can transfer your data. Okay. So all the wires inside your system are buses, or we can say system bus. So it may be of three types. One is control bus, where control signals are passed from control unit to devices, components, and components to control unit, okay, or to memory. Okay. And address bus, where it passes the address of your instruction which is stored in your memory. Okay, so memory have data, instructions, and all these data instructions have address. Okay, so you need to pass address for a particular data in memory. So how it will be passed? Through data address bus. Okay, so these wires passes the address of a particular data in your memory, and that can be used to transfer to CPU or to output device. Okay. Then the last bus is a data bus, where the actual data what you are going to process. Okay, either you want to add, delete, divide. Okay, so all information or actual data of your program is passed through data bus, and all these type of buses are known as system bus. So this is the fourth component of your system. Okay, so this is the four components: CPU, memory, input output devices, or buses. So this way your internal system of computer works. Okay, so we end the topic here and continue in next lecture. Thank you.